You're watching live coverage from the CBT News Stage at the 2024 NADA Show in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick of CBT News at the CBT Stage at the 2024 NADA Show. I'm joined by Mike Battaglia, who is the COO of Blink Charging. This is a segment that you're going to want to pay attention to because everybody's running around talking about EVs. What are we going to do? How are we going to charge these cars? This is something that you know a little something about. So thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you, Jim. It's great to be here again.
Yeah, for sure. So what makes the role of dealerships so significant to the overall EV adoption?
Yeah, so, the role of dealers with EV adoption is no different than the role of dealers with internal combustion engines.
Okay.
They're the tip of the spear. They're the ones that are educating customers. They're the ones that are demonstrating those vehicles. Yeah. And again, this is just a new technology. Yeah. So the success or the not success of it starts with having a great product that's built by the manufacturer. Right. But then it's about the dealers effectively communicating the attributes of that product and talking about where electric vehicles fit for someone. Good, bad, indifferent. But the point is they're educating and they're the tip of the spear.
Yeah. One of the keys to growing infrastructure is getting the right charger in the right place at the right time. For dealerships, when is L2 the right charger to install?
So for dealers, it comes down to a few different things in terms of level 2 versus DC. Okay. So number one is how big are you? How many cars do you sell a month? That's always the fundamental, right? Okay. So that's going to drive how many chargers you need. Then you got to think about things like, do I spot deliver a lot of cars or do I schedule deliveries out? And if I schedule deliveries out, I probably need more level 2 chargers. If I'm spot delivering a lot of cars, I want to tilt a little bit more towards DC fast charging. Okay. So really, number one, it comes down to how big I am, how many cars am I selling? Okay. Number two, what's my business model? And then fundamentally, number three, how much space do I have? How much power do I have? All of those things.
So let's talk about that. How does Blink seamlessly integrate EV charging services into existing dealership operations?
Yeah. So first of all, many of the senior folks at Blink have automotive backgrounds and over many decades. Okay. So we understand, number one, the automotive industry, and number two, just as importantly, the retail automotive industry. So first of all, we need to look at what's the workflow like at the dealership, how is it set up, where are the cars staged. So one of the things you really just got to make sure of is that you don't relegate these chargers back somewhere where they're difficult to use, they're difficult to find. Right. It doesn't fit with access, things like that. So a lot of it comes down to planning up front and just being smart about it like you would anything else.
Sure. And how much effort can dealerships expect to allocate to EV charging maintenance? That's a concern dealers have, right?
So again, two different types of chargers. Level 2 DC fast chargers. Very different in terms of maintenance. Okay. Level 2, you virtually have no maintenance. Windex, really? Windex the front of it, and every once in a while you may have to reset it. It's like it's a computer, right? It's literally a computer in your parking lot. So just like your laptop, you might have to reset it every once in a while. Now on the DC fast charger side, that's where more maintenance comes in. Okay. Some of the chargers are equipped with cooling fans. They have filters. Okay. So almost like an oil change, once a year you're going to want to change out that filter, and that keeps the charger running and humming, for years.
Is that something that Blink helps them with?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yep. So it's kind of turnkey for the dealer.
For sure.
Right. And how can dealerships measure and track the success of their EV charging offerings?
So one of the really cool parts about EVs and EV charging in general is that you have connectivity to a platform that allows you to see things like how much energy has been dispensed through those charging stations, how many kilowatts, how many gallons of gas have I saved? Right? What's my CO2 impact? All kinds of different things, but really the biggest measure is how much energy has been dispensed through these things, and is it growing over time? Right. And so there's dashboards in the platform. It's very simple. It's very easy to use. I know dealers love yet another dashboard. But nevertheless, it's there, and you can kind of see, what's happening with these charging stations, and you can also see, are they operational? Are they up? Are they down? Is someone currently using it or not? Okay, that's kind of cool. So what are the key points to have in mind when looking at pre-construction needs for integrating EV charging into a dealership? So first and foremost, plan ahead and try to future-proof as much as you can. Okay. So what you want to avoid is putting in the minimal infrastructure now, and then a few years from now, tearing up your parking lot again and going through this again.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So it's always a balance between, what's your budget, how much do you have to
Sure.
spend towards the capital investment, but really it should be, I should try to put in about as many as I can, and from a speed perspective, the fastest, certainly DC fast charger that I can find,
Okay.
that I can afford to put in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've been learning a lot, about the two types of commercially available DC fast chargers. One type is a battery energy storage system, and the other is a conventional charger.
Yep.
What do dealers need to understand about the key differences between these two?
Yeah,
chargers?
so you're right. There's actually a couple of different configurations that can help a dealer with battery energy storage.
Okay.
So some DC fast chargers have the battery built into them.
Okay.
But then the battery's fixed,
Mhm.
right? In other words, it's not upgradable, it just kind of sits there.
Okay.
The other way to go, which is the approach we take, is you have a DC fast charger and you couple it with an external battery energy storage system.
Okay.
And what that really does is, in most cases, what it'll do for you is avoid things like demand fees from your utility provider.
Okay.
So some of these monthly demand fees can be pretty stout. So things like a battery can help what they call peak shave. You can pull energy from the battery rather than from the
Okay.
grid, and you can save yourself a lot of money over time by doing that. So
Really?
there's
Okay.
different benefits.
Yeah.
There's more than that, but that's probably
Sure.
for a dealer. Number one is, how do I mitigate some of these electricity costs?
So for dealers that are about to embark on this,
Mhm.
as a representative from Blink, somebody sits down with the dealer
Mm-hmm.
and consults that dealer, him or her, in all of these different areas, right?
For
I mean,
sure.
you guys provide that kind of consultation to them.
We do. We have an
Yeah.
implementation and design team.
Okay.
And so whether you're doing a ground up facility build
Sure.
or whether you're doing a retrofit,
Okay.
our guys can sit down, doesn't cost anything, there's no obligation, and we can
That's
provide
great.
guidance
Yeah.
on placement, we can provide guidance on the complexity
Okay.
of the installation, even provide some rough estimated costs
Okay.
on what something like that could run you,
Yeah.
without even getting an electrician on site yet.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, planning.
And are these things financeable or leasing, or is there any kind of programs like that out there that if a dealer says, I don't want to use all my capital, but I'm going to have a big chunk of money here?
Yeah,
right?
so first of all, I think everything's financeable.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But to answer
Yeah.
your question, we work with actually two financing partners
Okay.
at Blink, and we can provide leasing options, we can provide full
Oh,
financing options,
Yeah.
and also not just the equipment, but the infrastructure can be financed too.
Really?
So yeah, there's different
Oh, that's
options
good.
available
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
So it's not a lot of money out of the dealer's pocket right up front.
Potentially, for sure. Yep.
Right. And it's
Yep.
but it's something that dealers need to pay attention to. I mean, they're going to pull the trigger one way or the other on this, right?
Yep.
I mean, you guys at Blink and anybody in this category right now sitting in a pretty good spot because dealers got to go down this road and do this.
They do, and I mean, financing actually makes a lot of sense because
Yeah,
you're
of course.
depreciating those assets, and so it kind of lines up
Yeah.
pretty well. And also, you should see, right? We should see
Yeah.
the utilization of those chargers
Of course.
increasing over time,
Yeah.
right?
And I think we will. I mean, that even though it's not to the level right now, we talked about it before we got recording today, that the industry wanted us to think, we're going to be all electric in the next 5 or 10 years. I think we all agree at this point we're not going to be. It's not going to be that quickly, right? But it will be an incline. It'll be a nice steady incline. I was at a JD Power Summit yesterday, and they said it's going to be 65%, by 2035.
I spent almost 15 years working for JD Power, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And they're usually pretty good about those numbers, and they get them right most of the time.
Sure. So that's a plausible number, right?
It is absolutely a plausible
Yeah.
number. And look, it's funny because when we kind of embarked on this, kind of 2-3 years ago,
Yeah.
where things really started to take off,
Sure.
there was probably too much exuberance.
Right.
And now there's probably too little exuberance.
That's right.
And so, like many
Yeah.
of these things that we
Yes.
all go through over
Yeah.
the years, right? The market's going to find its footing.
Yeah.
It's all going to be okay, right? I say, I only worry when the phone stops ringing, and the phone has not stopped ringing.
That's right. It's a good spot to be in. Mike Battaglia, COO of Blink Charging Dealers. This is something that obviously I know I don't need to tell you, you need to pay attention to because you already know that. But Blink Charging, one of the finer companies out there to do business with. And as you can see, their company will sit down with you, design it for you, no questions asked, no money up front even to get designed, and it's all financeable. do yourself a favor, check these guys out. We're going to show the information. And are you out here with an exhibit at
we're in the North Hall, and
in the North Hall.
or you can ping us at blinkcharging.com.
We are live right now, so you can go to the North Hall right now and check out their charging capabilities and their options. Say hello to Mike.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yep, you too.
Thanks for watching the live coverage from the CBT News Stage at the 2024 NADA Show.